One more minute, I'll get going. All right, while we're waiting here, my regular Churchill office, I arrived at this morning to start the first webinar with Coach Kerry, and it was all disinfected and closed. We're not allowed in. So for today, because of the time was so tight, I'm in a corner of a country club. It's past lunchtime, so the noise is less, but you might hear a little background noise. I apologize. All I can say is I'm in this with you. Things are changing by the moment. I'm delighted that you are here. All right, let's take a look how we're doing with participants. I think we're about ready to go. Connie, I'm going to ask you to interrupt me if chat comes up and there's something I need to urgently answer. Otherwise, I will pause as we go. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We won't be doing any polling today, but if you, we really, really encourage you to use the chat to respond to what I'm saying, to add ideas that you think will add to your peers on the line, or anything that you disagree with and you want us to discuss. This is all about you. The reason we got these going is clients asked us for them, these two webinars today. Two things going on in the world, of course, is with the whole Corona global challenge, people are starting to work from home or being forced to work from home and in isolation to some degree. And there's this whole unknown of fear of the coronavirus. So the first webinar today was about how do you change things to work from home and lead a team from working from home. So that's been recorded and will be shared. This one is more about how do you change your leadership style to give your followers what they need during this time. So what we're going to cover today is understanding the 4 things followers want from leaders most, particularly through times of challenge. And secondly, learn why they're important and how you can provide them. And typical me, I'm very practical, give you some simple tips that you can use consistently with your leaders if you're a leader of a team. And if you lead an organization or an HR leader, you can share with your leaders. And at the very end, if you want to stay, we'll share a few programs that we're doing that we've either adjusted from our normal Churchill programs to make them more virtual, or that we've inserted based on what clients are asking us for that you need right now. All right, Connie, can you hear me okay? Connie, can you hear me okay? I'm just having a check in here to make sure I'm being heard.
I'm sorry, yes, I can hear you.
Great. Well, instead of doing a poll, quick chat question for everyone to get us active. Please answer this question in the chat. There's no right or wrong answer. It'll give me a feel of what you're looking for. Why did you choose to join this webinar today? All right, I'll give you a minute to do that while I have a sip of tea. All right, things are starting to come in. I think being compassionate will help me now. Smart realization. We're attempting to quickly get together resources for leaders in this challenging time. Absolutely. Our goal is to give you something that you can use today and you can share if you need more. We can help you with that as well. Best practices across the globe. Yeah, that's one thing we pride ourselves is we're working across the globe. Like I'm working with Japan yesterday and Singapore, South Korea, getting feedback from China on what's going on there, as well as our clients in Europe and across the Americas. So that's definitely something we can help you with. And of course, many of you are leading global diverse teams. And so that might make it, even more complex for you. Understand how we can guide our leaders during this challenge. Yep. These 4 things I'm going to show you today are absolute guidance. I think what tends to happen is when we suddenly all start working from home and we're stressed because of what's going on, we get into productivity mode. What's got to get done? Let's stay on top of things. And we forget that we're leading people. So these 4 things today are going to help your leaders that tend to err on the side of get it done, to recognize they are leading human beings. And that's what we need to do to be in this for the long game. Okay, curiosity tips. Yep, plenty of tips. Tips. I'm a practical tip girl. This is unprecedented. Any support? You know, this support, as I prepared for this, it was reminding me what I need to do more of and less of. So these tips will work for you at home as well as in your work. All right, it is a difficult time. I'm feeling it big time with you. The isolation for me is really bothering me. Even doing a yoga class on my own through the Gaia app yesterday, which I do when I'm traveling sometimes, just felt harder because I felt more isolated. All right, let's move on. I think most of you know Churchill, global organization. We have a 200 coaches, superb at what they do, business backgrounds, leadership backgrounds. They train, they coach, they consult in areas of organizational capacity, greater leadership development, and higher performing teams. So we're here to serve you. You know me, I don't deliver much work anymore. I run the company. So if you have needs that you want to discuss after this for your organization, you're probably going to speak with me. Then I'll bring in the right coaches to talk about the specifics. I am totally here from you, and I give that time to clients for free. I can be your go-to thought leader through this difficult time. Many of our clients are on the line today at one of our webinars, and we also have Dr. Connie Evans, our marketing director, who has high analytical in her strengths and is a certified analytical and data expert. She'll help us with the chat and make sure that I don't miss anything. Teamwork, right, Connie? All right, the four things. The four things. Why are we here? All right. So you probably know, most of you, that the work we do at Churchill Leadership Group is accelerated by strengths. It means if we do executive coaching, we do a Strengths Finder assessment up front. If we do team performance, we use Strengths Finder. We use other assessments, of course, but that's our go-to one. And so a lot of our research that we use is in positive psychology, it is in neuroscience, and it's from the Gallup organization, because we're certified by Gallup to do the strengths work. And this is Gallup data. So Gallup surveyed about 15 years ago and ongoing since what followers needed from leaders. And they initially looked at 10,000 people in the US and said, okay, when you think of the leaders that contribute most to your life, what words come to mind? And they analyzed those words. Then they asked the question again to a few more thousand: what leaders directly affect you that you sort of report to in your organization? Because the first question could have been your dad, your mom, a mentor. The second part of the question was in your organization. And when followers answered what they needed most from leaders, particularly during challenging times, the data was pretty much the same. Then they expanded this data to go across the world. So they went across APAC, China, Japan, India, Australia, Canada, South America, including Brazil, Europe. And again, the data was pretty consistent. These are the four things. These are the four things that we as followers, as human beings, need. And these are the four things through challenging times that your leaders need to know they need to give, and need to know how to give, and are practicing it so we know they're able to do it. All right, those are some of the key areas of change: awareness, desire, know how to do it, and I'm able to do it. All right, and I'm supported so I can keep doing it. Stability, compassion, trust, and hope. All right, any surprise there, folks? Let me know on chat if you think that's a mass surprise. All right, nothing yet. Any surprise there? Anything that's missing for you that you thought might be there for the four? Great point there, Andy. We've got to get the right balance between results and compassion. We've got to keep people in the game with us long term. Yeah, communication. Okay, Kathy, communication, I would say, goes across most of these. That's a really good observation. Boosting their confidence. I think hope is a big area of boosting confidence. Stability also. No surprises yet. These are human needs. But do we know how to do them as leaders? Not necessarily. Okay, so how do you get the most from this webinar? This is what I would advise. Notice what resonates for you as we talk, as I share. Not just practically, what is resonating from you emotionally? As a conversational intelligence certified coach, and we have about 20 of us on the team around the world, we know that we have more than one brain. It's not just the brain in our head. Our heart acts as a brain, our stomach acts as a brain and gives us signals. So feel what's resonating with you as we walk through this, because that will be your intuition telling you it's what's needed either for you or for your teams. Also notice what resonates for you practically of exercises that you and your teams can use. That's one way to get the most out of this webinar. Put yourself in your team's shoes. We have to lead ourselves first in order to lead our team. So things like self-talk are really important. If I keep telling myself what a negative situation we're on and this is never going to end and this is going to take forever and there's nothing I can do, guess what's going to ooze from me as a leader? That's what my team is going to hear. That's what my family is going to hear. So we really have to recognize that we put ourselves in our people's shoes and recognize they're picking up on everything from us at every minute of the day, whether we recognize it or not. So we need to know what they're feeling, but we also need to know what we're projecting. So as you're going through this webinar, think about what your team need and how you need to show up. Try and take notes on 2, 3, maybe 4 strategies that you can put into action straight away and share. I'm all about scalability. Share it with your teams. The simple strategies done consistently well over time are the ones that work. You don't need to make this complex. You don't need to make it difficult. Simple is good. All right. All right, so for each of these 4, I'm going to try and walk you through as best I can why it's important and then some practical tips. So context and action. So stability. In a crisis, we first have to meet people where they are. Maslow has this model. There's a version with about 4 layers and there's a version with, I think this is 9 layers, 8 layers. I'm not an expert on this model. We have teams that are, but you can see at the bottom, people's core needs in crisis are psychological needs. I want to feel safe. I want food. I need to know I've got money coming in. I need water. I need shelter. All right. Some of these things as a leader you can affect. All right. Uncertainty creates stress. Confused minds do nothing. If you do not communicate, they are going to imagine the worst. All right, that's where your leadership needs to come in. So it's more important than ever that you step up and lead with confidence where you can and give them stability where you can. Now, it's real. I can't give my son as much stability as I'd like to give him. I can't give my mom as much stability as I'd like to give her. When am I coming home to the UK next? I have no idea. But there's certain stability we can give each other. It's one of the basic needs, and we cannot float by and start talking about productivity unless we address these. So here are a couple of exercises that work well and are easy to do. The one on the left is about stability. I don't know what you need to feel more stable and safe. So maybe I share first and show a bit of vulnerability. I need to connect with my family at least every other day, and video is what I need. Not just one person and my husband who I'm with, my extended family. I need to feel connected. I have connectedness in my top 5 strengths. But it might be different for you. So you need to ask the question, what do you need right now to feel safe? What do you need right now to feel a little more stable? Maybe it's a bit of technology. Maybe it is how to set up their office. Maybe it is it okay that my kid's in the room, I can't find childcare if I'm on a video and they interrupt? I'm really worried about that. And you giving them the okay, make them feel really secure and safe. Listen for trends of what your team needs. Listen for individual needs that might just be for that individual. Facilitate a discussion where you're listening and not judging. You might hear needs that for you are like, really? It's okay. It's real for them. Don't judge, just listen and double click to explore around what do you need from me, from our organization to help you feel more stable in this space. You might not be able to give it all, but you might be able to give some, which is the point. It also shows that you care. Another exercise, which is fun at any time, and particularly for a team getting to know each other, is, core values. Followers need to know the core values of their leader. And so sharing core values as a team is a really cool exercise. You can do it without any props. You can say something like, okay, for the first 10 minutes of our next team meeting together, we're going to share 2 or 3 core values that are important to each of us. And we're going to jot them down, see if there's any trends across the team, just so we know this about each other when we're working together and considering this when we prioritize and meet each other's needs. Be willing to go first. All right. It makes life a little more predictable when we understand what each other's core values are. All right. For me, clarity. Oh, if I don't have clarity on why we're doing something, I'm completely out of sorts. Many of you might have spoken to me and I'm like, okay, slow down, slow. Why are we doing this? What's the big picture? That's typically what I say because I need clarity. It's a core value for me. It might not be important to you anywhere near as much, but if we know that about each other, great. There are cards, packs of cards you can buy on eBay and Amazon to help you facilitate such an exercise. Super simple, high impact. High impact. I'll cover stability a bit more, then I'll take a pause. Once these more basic needs are addressed with stability, you can shift a little more to making it stable about the business, okay? Employees want to know where they stand with your business, right? We know we need a paycheck, we know we need job security. Maybe that's a bit of an unknown right now, right? It's an unknown for a lot of companies and a lot of employers. Give them what you can. All right, give them whatever confidence you can give them. A employee who has confidence in the company's financial future is 9 times more likely to be engaged. So if you can give them some type of security there, do it. Okay. Things are changing all the time. Provide regular updates. Communicate with your team, I would say once a week in a team meeting, maybe more. Once a week where it's maybe more about the business and giving updates. Then in addition, one-on-ones, maybe you're meeting with your team on a more fun basis to get together. We'll talk about that later. A second time a week. You'll learn what's going to work best. Provide what you do know since the last time. What you don't know and still don't know, but are trying to find out. Keep prioritizing where they need to be doing their work. These are the most important 3 things we need to try and achieve this week as a team. These are the most important priority for you as an individual. Prioritizing is key at all times, even more during ambiguity, because they will keep changing. Connect to purpose. People are overwhelmed, they're confused, we know that, we're feeling it too. Connect for each employee why we're doing something and the impact they can have directly on your customers, on the costs, profits, sales, budget, the development of the team. Give employees stability and confidence with a sense of purpose. Decision making was hard before Corona, right? It's one of the top things we're asked for to help leaders with. Change management and decision making. It's going to be even harder now. Ask for your team's input. Showing them their voice matters, shows them you care, plus it gives you the input that you need to make the best decision in the situation. Seek outside input. Make sure you're talking to people sideways, your peers and up. Once you've gathered what you can, evaluate risks and rewards, risks and benefits, and go ahead and make a decision that you can make. It might be challenging, you might lose sleep, but at least if you're making a decision for now, your team can move forward. If you procrastinate, you create uncertainty for everyone, and you can always adjust the decision moving forward. Okay? Don't stop making decisions. All right, so that's stability. Connie, I'm coming back to the chat here. What are you noticing? Any thoughts, comments on stability, folks? What would you like to share? Authenticity, does it fit into trust? Yeah, I think it does. Now's the time to show up as yourself. It's okay to show that you're worried about things. It's okay to share that you don't know. It's okay to share where you think you're at your strongest, using your strengths. That's all authenticity. Yeah, showing your values is authenticity. So I think that's a big part of trust and vulnerability. Any questions and thoughts on bringing stability to your teams? All right, I am going to move on to the next one. Compassion. All right, this is really a time to show we care. So what did the Gallup research tell us? That if you're very compassionate at home with your friends and family and you really show up and show that you care about them, you might be more hesitant to show that at work. Not talking about hugging and everything right now. In fact, when I was looking for photos of compassion to use today in our source of photos for slides, most photos showed people hugging each other and touching each other. And it was just a real eye-opener for me, right? That's a big part of compassion, is that physical, I've got your back. And we can't do that right now outside of our immediate isolated family in most places. So how do we show compassion when we can't put our arm around someone, right? It's around caring. It's around being a friend. It's around bringing happiness where we can. It's saying, you are important, your voice is important, and you belong as part of this team. We're in this together, and doing it as frequently as you can. What do we know that compassion does for your business? If when asked in engagement surveys, this is Gallup global data of millions of people, when asked, my manager, my supervisor, or someone at work, so it can be peer-to-peer, you can show compassion for your peers, it doesn't have to come just from your boss. When someone at work cares about me as a person, and you can say yes to that, you're significantly more likely to stay in the organization and be more engaged with customers for greater productivity and profitability. So we want our people to be doing the work. So one way to get them to feel they want to do that is to bring compassion. So if you're low on compassion, typically, now's the time to try and ramp it up a little and help leaders around you do the same. But if I'm trying to be compassionate, and I'm trying to make this change, how would I know that my team members know I genuinely care about them? I don't have an answer for this, folks. Let's see what you say. How would you know that your team members know you care? That you've ramped up compassion? All right. Janine, thank you. Being present when engaging, actively listening, being fully there, personalizing the communication. I think that's a lot of what we can give. How do we know it's working? Like, what would we look for, Janine, to know that when we're actively listening and being present, that it's working for our team member? What are some of the signs we could monitor? We can be vulnerable. Ask them how they're feeling. Great. These are all excellent best practice. Keep them coming. Yes. We might see them start to mirror. Yes, if I become more engaged on a Zoom call, like I'm totally in, fully focused, I might see that same body language from my team member. That might show me it's working for them. Like, I'm a pretty simple person. I would ask. It's like, what do you need from me that shows you that I've got your back? What does you need from me to show that I can make your life a bit better? I don't know. Help me help you. It's okay to not know the answer with individuals, particularly if you don't know team members that well and you've not been through more challenging situations with them. Now's the time to learn about your team. So my point again is, you don't have to have all the answers. I don't want this to make leaders feel there's a lot of pressure and I've got to do all these 4 things well. You've got to be aware of them. You've got to know a little about what you can do, but you've got to keep asking your team. They will guide you if you ask. Because it's a whole lot more difficult remotely, which is why we encourage video of any type. All right. So some tips, regular check-in. I would be checking in with my team at least once a week on Zoom, on video, where we talk about business and what they need and priorities and updates. And then once informally, where we might have a drink, a coffee break. I'll talk a little more about that later. And I might do at least once a week with individuals on my team and let them know that I am very available. If they need me urgently, text me and we'll shoot on a Zoom, or they can call me. I need to be fully available for them. And I need my boss to do the same for me, right? You've got to feed yourself. So it needs to be both ways for you to be at your best. When I'm with them, I want to stay in the moment. Not how are you doing? I want to ask, how are you doing right now in this minute? Because most of us can't think beyond today right now during this challenge with the coronavirus. What do you need from me right now? Stay present, listen, don't judge. If you're not sure what to do based on what they are, say, tell me more. If I was to help you, what would you see me do? Right? For those of you that have been through our Leader as Coach program, you will know these are coaching questions. They work for you in many situations. All right. If you care around someone, you've got to know what they're going through. So keep your eyes wide open. Observe. If you were on our previous webinar, you will know Coach Carey. She is unbelievable at picking up on people's tone. Me, not so. I can't hear it in a voice. I have to observe and I have to use words. Maybe you can pick up on tone as well. There's many ways to know how people are feeling. You can ask. You can notice when they're quiet. You can notice body language. You can Google tips on body language to see what would body language look like when someone's stressed versus not as stressed, and look for these things and ask again very open questions. What's on your mind right now? What's going on for you right now? All right. How can I help? Do you need any support? Someone said to me once, try and use the word support versus help. Help makes them sound, help might make someone feel helpless, like they can't do it on their own. Support makes them feel, you've got this, how can I accelerate you? So I try and catch myself when I use the word help and try and use the word support. All right, a few more people here. We will be sharing a recording of this webinar, Maribel. You won't miss out. Thank you for joining us. All right. Confused minds do nothing. I think I mentioned that already. That is so true. It's true for me, and I see it around me all of the time. Ever sent an email and wonder why people haven't responded? Chances are, if you look back at that email, it wasn't as clear as you thought it was. So you need to figure out where your team needs clarity. So I think look at that in two ways. Clarity you're getting from the top and from other resources, so you can give it to your team. I've got an update on a couple of things today. I don't have all the answers, but I've got some progress. This is what I know. This is what I think this means. It could mean this, but my gut tells me it probably means this for us. Therefore, this is what I think we need to do. Let's talk. What do you all think? So that's when you get things coming in and you update your team. Then you've got to see what your team needs. Where do you need more clarity? I don't have clarity on everything. We've got to learn and work with ambiguity and unknowns, but what right now do you need clarity on the most? Again, you may not have the answer, but focus on what you can control and influence versus what you can't. So if my team say, look, we need clarity on how our revenue trends might change, I might say, I don't know, but they'll probably change through this experience. I may say to the team, let's talk about this. How might our revenue stream change through the Corona challenge? And what within that can we control versus not control? I did that last week. I got lots of answers from my team. I felt great. So again, you're not in this on your own. Figure out what needs clarifying and do it together. Those are some tips. Okay, couple more. Practice kindness. We feel good when we do something good for others. It's because it creates certain neurochemicals that are good for us and generate a feeling of purposefulness and happiness. Share stories of where you've had the opportunity to be kind, even small stories. It will scale. Ask others, have you had a chance to practice kindness this week? People will feel really good sharing it. It will motivate them in their work. Okay, why we can still get out there, and many of us can, as long as we stay away from people, get out and move. Get air and sunshine into your office where you can. Spend time with friends and family. Take a break during the day, especially when you're feeling tense and overwhelmed. Great app out there for mindfulness, Headspace. I've been practicing mindfulness for a very long time. We have Churchill programs specifically for mindfulness that we deliver globally. They're incredible. Practice mindfulness on your own from a free app. Go deeper if you need to bring it to your team. All right. Any other tips you want to share with each other about compassion, and then we'll move to trust? How are you sharing compassion right now with your team? How are you showing them you care? Let's hear what you have to say in the chat room. Yeah, that's a powerful question, Navid. Thank you for joining us from London. How can I be a better line manager for you right now? Yeah, great one. Oh, Michelle, thank you for sharing that. Focus first on health and wellness. Your people can't do their work unless they feel good. That sort of mental health as well as the physical health. And both are at risk right now, right? So when we talk about bringing wellness programs to you, it is a real big priority. Some companies, like one of our clients, PayPal, talk about wellness a lot. It's critical for them. It becomes even more important for all companies right now. Make sure you've got wellness programs. If you need help, talk to us. We'll help you there. Yeah. A great question to ask is, what are you doing for the wellness of you and your family? Let's share. All right. How can I make your day easier? Good one. And when they give you something you can react to and do, doesn't it make you feel good as a leader as well? It's a win-win. Thank you there. All right, let's move on to trust. Okay. So I think we know trust is in everything. All of our team programs are grounded in building trust. We know that trust is the most important thing when you're coaching someone. The USA Today did a survey a few years back of what executive wanted most from their executive coach in their executive coaching engagement. It was trust. Like, it's all over there. And so, the only other incredibly difficult situation that I've been through globally like this was 9/11, where trust went down big time. And we saw what it did, example, for airports. We used to go through airports quickly. It didn't cost governments as much money. September 11th happened, trust went through the floor, and it took forever to get through because we didn't trust each other, and it cost a lot more with all the machinery, etc. So there's trust because we need it as human beings. Our followers need it, and our business needs it. Speed of Trust was a book written for that reason. So it's important for your people, your followers, and it's important for your business. Take it seriously. Okay, so Gallup tells us in their research that reported that the best leaders were the ones that followers could count on. Right now, I don't know what your followers want to count on you the most for. So again, that comes to that question. What do you need to count on me most this week? Right? Really that simple. Let them guide you. Ask your boss, what do you need from me most this week? What do you need to rely on me most? Get guidance from other people. Be sure that you can let other people what you need from the most. Your boss is probably thinking the same. What do you need from them? When we look at data, the Gallup polls told us nationally that the chance of an employee being engaged at work when they do not trust is just 1 in 12. When they trust you, it increases sixfold to get 1 in 2. So it drives engagement, it drives business. So we need it fundamentally as humans, we need it for our business. Okay. Think of it this way though, it's not just trust between you and your boss, you and employee, it's trust across your team as well. All right. Trust across your team. Your team, even if they work together when they were in the office, are probably having to do it more with other people and each other now that they're working virtually. When they don't know each other as much and trust is low, that's going to take longer. So you need to take action that's going to build trust across your team. Maybe your team and another team work closely together or need to even more today. Maybe you're a cross-functional team and have to work with more of a business team. Work with that leader to figure out how you can build trust across the team so your teams can work faster together during this challenge. All right. Give each other slack, yep. Really important for leaders to trust their employees. Yeah. Trust that they want to do great work. Trust they'll get set up at home. Trust, despite the worry, they still will give the best they can. It's important. Okay, so trust tips. Transparency from you. Transparency over time. If you don't know it, say it. I don't know. I can try and find out. Let me try and find out, but before I do so, tell me more about exactly what you need to know so I can try and find as much of the relevant information that you need, right? Double click before you go run and find out. You might only come back with a bit, you might come back with nothing, but be transparent, follow up. Follow up with them. This is what I found out. When you're sharing what you have got, be direct with numbers where you can, all right? If revenue stalled, and it might, and you have to be transparent with that, share the numbers. People, even if they're difficult facts to see, are grounded in the facts, and then talk about what can we do about this. Trust that you have an intelligent, capable team that when they work synergistically together with you, will figure out some solutions. Be clear on what's fact and what is your opinion or best guess or judgment. Both are fine, just make sure you're not causing confusion. This is what I know, this is what I think it might mean, or it might mean this. These are, I think, are our options in my mind right now. Let's talk about them and see what other options we can put on the table as a team to figure out which option is best for us to follow. Focus on what you can control is stability and builds trust. All right. Here are some trust exercises. Super simple. I'm sure some of you have done them before. I've got many, many more. Keep them simple and keep them easy. So these are exercises you can do with your team on Zoom, ideally Skype video versus just the phone, but they can be done by phone. Round robin so that everyone gets a voice, everyone is heard and understood. They can be 10 minutes, they can be 50 minutes if you facilitate them and set expectations up front. Each exercise just needs a powerful question. It can be, tell me about a time where you went through a challenge and overcame it. You do that as pre-work, email, maybe a day before they come to the session, and then have everyone go around and hear. Maybe use a timer, give everyone a minute. That really gets people to learn to be concise in their communication, but everyone gets to hear and you learn more about each other and you learn tips of how to overcome challenges. Another is 3 lies and a truth. Oh, it should be like 2 lies and a truth. That's an error. Tell me 2 things about you that are a lie and one's a truth, and we have to guess it. So have everyone submit them in advance, pop them on slides, so you save time, show the slide, and people have to guess which of these is a lie. It can be a lot of fun. You can cause laughter and build up energy. Something we do a lot on our team, thanks to team member lists, is at the start of every meeting, before every meeting, Alyssa collects a photo of something that's important to each team member right now. It could be something fun you've done, a family member, a hobby, and we share those at the start of every meeting. It helps us understand each other's world and relate to each other and build trust. It's okay for you to be a little vulnerable as a leader and open up and share things you wouldn't normally share. It will be appreciated and bond your team. So hopefully there's some very practical things there you can do straight away. All right, last one, I believe, hope. All right, so before we move to the last one, I'm going to grab a drink because I'm losing my voice. Connie, let's get some people into the chat. People that are with us, please share a tip, a question, a thought to get some participation going here. Share some feedback. Is this helpful? All right, feel a bit better now after a sip of tea. They're coming in, thank you. Developing team norms, holding people accountable also helps claim trust. It's like it creates almost boundaries, certainty. If you've never done rules of engagement, thank you very much for that, Michelle. I hope that you're doing well up there in Canada. If you've never done rules of engagement as a team and team norms, that's a great exercise. If you need help, we've got great coaches that can help you do that in a webinar. And they can last you those team norms long term. If you've already built them, get them out, brush them off, make sure you're using them, revisit them, update them. This is help. It's practical, actionable, good. I only know how to be practical. I'm not a fun person. I'm a practical person. Pragmatic, you are welcome. And I'm just glad to be with you all, to be fair. I feel so much more connected that we're with each other today on both these webinars. Okay. Keep it coming. Oh, thank you, Melissa. I'm practical and fun. I'm a lot more fun after a few glasses of wine. Ask my sister. Thanks, Melissa. Appreciate that boost. All right, hope. This on the surface might feel like it's the hardest one to bring to followers right now, hope, because so much is unknown. So let's talk about why it's so important. Followers want stability in the moment, but they want hope for the future. And I can tell you, my futuristic strengths and Strengths Finder is struggling right now because I can't see the future. And I'm not a person that looks back. I'm the future world. My husband looks back for us and somehow we figure out today. I'm struggling because I can't see the future, or like this is going to end. I'm not worried about that, but I don't know when. So that's sort of really getting me to challenge my self-leadership right now. And that's good because I'll learn from that and I'll learn how to cope with that, and I'm making progress. But this is why it's important to people. They want hope for the future. So the most powerful question asked when Gallup did the research was whether their company's leadership made employees, followers, feel enthusiastic about the future. Again, that's hard right now. But we've got to look for those opportunities. What is hopeful? For example, the fact that China have no new domestic cases, unless something changed in the news in the last hour or two, in the last few days, is hopeful. Okay? The fact that China is reaching out to help Italy, and is not something they may normally do, is bringing countries together. That's a hope of how the world could operate in the future. All right? There are hopeful things. If we look for them, you will find them. What is going right in your organization right now? Maybe you've made the transition to virtual training and it's working way better than you thought. Maybe you are being way more productive than you imagined. People are having more fun than you thought, and that's going to continue. These are outstanding numbers. 66% of people that agreed to, they were enthusiastic about the future, were way more engaged than people who couldn't be enthusiastic about the future. So that's why it's important that you find these nuggets of hope. It doesn't just have to be about work. It can be about the world. It can be about your team. It can be about your growth of a team. What are we going to grow that we can use in the future here, right? I'm a big believer that at times like this, we've got to focus on our personal growth, because that's one thing we can control, and difficult situations challenge us to grow. That is a way to give hope. All right. Optimist. Oh, Michelle, good to know. Optimists live 5 years longer than pessimists. All right, I'm gonna hang on to that one. Thank you. There's a good reason, right? It's going to help our immune system. All right. So I just shared this one. Look for what's going right in the world. I also noticed that car companies like Ford and the electric car company, I'm going blank, the famous one. Remind me, is it Tesla?
Tesla.
Yeah, thank you. Are looking to use their machines to create ventilators. I've heard that 3D printers are repurposing to create the things that we need. There are so many of these great stories out there, so get your team to collect them and bring stories of hope. You at times might feel a little more pessimistic and hopeless. Just be careful. People are watching you. As a leader, there comes a lot of accountability and responsibility, and people are watching your every move, your every word. Yeah. So find ways before you go into a situation with your team, a phone call, a team meeting with your boss, with customers, where you can reground yourself. For me, that's meditation for 5 minutes. For me, that is going for a walk where I can. It's a little yoga. It might be watching a fun YouTube video, something that grounds me and sort of cleans my brain to be my best. We talk about that in a lot of Leader as Great Coach programs around showing up at our very best, being present. That's what you need to do right now before you show up, because people will pick up on your positive mindset and they'll remember it, and it will be harder for you to do that. Yes, alcohol producers creating hand sanitizers. I saw that. Yes, distilleries. I love how we're repurposing and change the way you look at things, and things you look at change. What can we do differently that helps the world instead of seems like a problem? People are resilient. All right. All right. Build hope for engagement. All right. So a couple of tips here. Keep prioritizing and include the why. All right. This is why we need to do it. This is why for the future, so people can bring that hope and the energy and time that it takes. The prioritization will help them focus on what's important for the future. Everyone should feel they belong to your team. You'll notice that hope, trust, stability, and compassion, they all overlap. These aren't 4 separate things. So this is this belonging thing again. People will feel hopeful about the future if they belong to your team. All right, if they belong to your team. On the previous webinar, we said have fun with your team. Someone wore a funny hat. Next thing you know, everyone found a funny hat and put them on. You felt you belonged as part of fun for a team. Keep doing simple things like that. Personal development. We are motivated by mastery and controlling something we can control. We can control our personal development. Find ways you can develop. Take tips from here to help people develop. If you need Churchill more, we're here. Another way, and this is a way to practice core leadership and good management skills, is give autonomy and delegate. Give people a sense of control over things that you trust them to do, and why it's important for the future hope. It's important that our team need to do this. It's important that our customers hear this from us. It's important that we solve this for our organization. I need you to take the lead on this, and this is why I need you. I don't have the answers, but can you work with our team to help figure this out? I'm here to support you. All right. A couple of fun exercises in the blue box are like a quiz that you could do with your team. Pub quiz, right? Now that the pubs are shutting. What are you most grateful for today? What made you smile today? And you could just do a fun quiz with your team. You could use this as a list of questions. You could do 1 question per meeting. You can come up with way better questions yourself. It gives people hope about positivity. At the end of the day, meet for a Zoom cocktail. We've been doing this as a family now multiple times, and it's fun. People have even got out of bed to do this in Europe to join us. So it's a lot of fun. Don't drink, not drinking time, do it as coffee. Some of you might be crossing time zones, so just adapt. Let's have a snack time and talk about family. Let's have a snack time and talk about what we're feeling good about and what we're grateful for. All of this leaves us leaving that time together hopeful. Don't forget those special events. Birthdays, work anniversaries, wedding anniversaries, children's birthdays. Get people together. My husband's in a band, and although he doesn't play an instrument, I know if he was one of his guitarists, I'd have him come and play a song to my team so we could have a sing-along. People get creative. It's fun to do that. All bring a percussion instrument and have some fun. Just get creative with stuff that just makes people want to do work together. All right. I think that's it. Let's see what else is going on here in the chat. Any final thoughts, shares, questions for me or each other in why and how to build stability, trust, compassion, and hope? Are we all clearer on why all four are important right now for leaders? Just put a yes or not in the chat box. That will give us a little feedback. Are we, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd love us to talk about if we do more of these in the future, the free webinars? Feel free to put that in there as well. Great, I'm glad it's value. I'm glad it's, I love doing these, but as long as they bring value to you. The reason we did this is clients came to us and say they wanted this. So Connie, I'm going to come back to you in a second and see if there's anything else you would like to add or anything that I've missed in the chat box. I want to summarize with this. There's good reason, there's data proof why these are important. It starts with you and how you show up with these and how you bring these to your team. So please make sure that what you're bringing is purposeful. If you need more programs for your leaders and organizations, share those in a minute. These are programs that we can do virtually in this environment to help you lead through this environment, work from home, and do other things for your team. I'll share that in a moment if you want to stay for that. But I wanted to leave you, if you do need to go, with this. This too shall end. Coronavirus will end as we know it today. We will reflect on this time and we will learn critical lessons, every one of us. One will be how we took the lead, the mindset we chose and how we decided to show up, how we reacted to things that we can control and can't control, how we made decisions or procrastinated, and the actions we chose and learned from. We'll learn a ton from our mistakes. You might be pleased when you reflect when we come to that time. Either way, it will be part of your leadership legacy. So please choose wisely and make sure to include stability, compassion, trust, and hope as a guideline in all that you do. Thank you for joining me. And if you need more, you can email me directly and we can spend time together. This is for organization leaders and for HR, where you need more scalable solutions and we want to talk about your need. Solutions at churchill-lg.com. If you can put that in the chat box as well for me, Connie. Programs we want to share immediately, because these are ones clients have asked us to put together. We have an in-depth leading virtual teams for team leaders or an intact team, more for team leaders, up to 12 of them. It goes more in depth over a couple of months. You can see the price there over Zoom, or we have a one-off if you want to reach a larger audience of up to 100 people in your organization. That's a 4-hour Zoom. Both are very experiential and very interactive and full of best practices. So if you need to scale that to help your team, your leaders lead virtual teams, those are 2 solutions that we can implement straight away. Another couple of things, our executive coaching continues. Most of those are virtual anyway. and we'll do it purely virtual. So your executives that are going through that and others that need it, we're here for you. We also were asked by clients to put a mini version. We're calling it Coaching Power Pack. Many leaders travel the globe to be with their people or are going through a tough time right now. So think about the price of this being maybe one trip that you're not having to spend on travel, and it gives your leader 3 critical coaching hours with the same coach. They get to choose a coach, and it gives them what they need right now. And here are just some examples of what your leaders might need. This can be for senior executives, directors, first line managers that need more support than you can give them right now, the Power Pack. All right, and the final things are more team-based. I think you all know we're a strengths-based organization. We have coaches around the world to do strengths programs. If you've already done Strengths Finder with us, do the accelerator, which is number 1 there. If you've never done it and want to get set up, depending on your budget and size of team, we will help you fit your budget. It will help you build compassion, trust, hope, and stability, and focus on what's right with you to be more resilient and create that common language. And wellness programs and other team programs continue in a virtual way. So let me come back to your needs. Connie, any final questions or thoughts that I need to respond to?
I think of a future webinar suggested by Phil would be emotional intelligence.
Yeah. Thank you, Phil. We have a lot on emotional intelligence, including SCARF, which I think we heard on the other webinar. The 4 segments of emotional intelligence, we've been doing that as webinars for years. So if you do need that, we can do that for sure for your leaders, internal, your organization, and maybe we'll do one external, these public free ones in the near future as well. Critical. All right. Thank you, everyone. I want to say stay well, stay safe. And wherever you are in the world, we're thinking of you, and let's stay connected. Together we'll get through this. Take care. Have a good weekend.